is the oldest single written record in human history, period. The myth of Adapa is considered the first Sumerian tablet that's ever been recorded in terms of for its age. It's one of the oldest tablets ever written to mankind. And it tells us profound things.
This is the oldest written document in history.
Yes. The myth of Adapa. It's the very beginning of everything. Now, what's really interesting here are a couple things. Number one, did you see that he says he was been created as chief among men?
Right.
That he's basically perfect. Remember, like the description of Adam?
Yep.
Okay. Now, this is the line that really brings it home, though. The most wise among the Anunnaki.
The most wise among the Anunnaki was he.
So what it's saying is that the first man, the first perfect man, named Adapa, the first great sage from a city called Eridu, the first city ever created, that he's considered the most wise among the Anunnaki. So what does that mean for us? We are the Anunnaki. We are them. We just don't remember anything, and we don't have any of the gifts anymore. They're trying to tell us that we started in a place where not only was he the most wise, but it's described even further. If you go to the Nag Hammadi scriptures, the secret book of John, it talks about how Enlil became jealous over how perfect man was, and then deliberately threw him into, that's what it says, threw him into a lower form of existence to trap him. So we were created by powerful fractals of source that are like omnipotent creator gods, right? And amongst them, we were created in such perfection that we were more wise and potentially more powerful than even they are. And because of jealousy by the gods, by them, specifically Enlil, he creates an entire world and hides us in a veil of war and deception and confusion to lock us in an eternity to never remember who we really are.
Whoa. That's powerful, bro. So we are them.
Yes. And we have all the gifts they have. We just don't remember or have them unlocked yet. We are, now look at how we're perceived in the world today, how we're taught, right? Darwinianism, we're just a survival of the fittest species that's destroying everything around it. And we got here only because we got smart and the luck of the draw. It's the complete opposite of that. We're like a divine being of the universe. So what are we doing killing each other and doing all these horrible things? Do you know what happens when someone kills someone?
No. What happens?
They are the judges of all. You ever seen in Egypt where they show a feather, the symbol or the analogy of it?
So let me go ahead and do a whole lot of correction on what that young man just put out. I think he's trying to be the white Billy Carson by mixing in different elements of stories and ideas in order to gain some type of following. Because he sounds very knowledgeable, like he knows what he's talking about. But he starts out wrong. First thing that he starts out incorrectly is by stating that the myth of Adapa is the oldest known writing that we have, when in truth it's not. Cuneiform writing is the oldest form of writing that we have. But the oldest tablets of cuneiform are not the Tel Hadad, which is where you find the myth of Adapa. You have the Kish documents. And from the Kish documents, which are older, but all they are, for the most part, are administrative documents, just telling you who bought what and who went where kind of deals, who bought a house, who bought a goat. So credibility is already struck right there. Now, he does some comparisons, and some of those comparisons are correct. But then he mixes in some elements from the Gospel of John, which is incorrect. The Gospel of John never mentions Enlil. What he's doing is he's saying that Enlil and Yaldabaoth, which is who the Gospel of John says took the soul or spirit of man and trapped them on earth. So because he was jealous, he's saying that Yaldabaoth and Enlil are the same person. That's not an accurate depiction of Enlil, because by the time you get to the Nag Hammadi library and the secret writings of John, or the Apocryphon of John, whichever name you want to call it, because it goes by both, Enlil is not even a known character that much by this time frame. We're talking like 2nd, 3rd century CE. Enlil is 3, 4, 5,000 years prior to that. and definitely considered a myth by this time frame. So it's not even comparable. Maybe elements used, but that's about it. But back to Adapa. He says that Adapa was perfect. True. He was made great. He was made by the god Ea, which is Enki. Um, Ea makes him. He gives him wisdom. He gives him intelligence. He makes him chief among the seven sages of man in the city of Eridu. So he is a chief sage and he is the primary man. Uh, Adapa decides to go on a fishing trip. While out on a fishing trip, the south wind, which is Ninurta by this time. It used to be Ninlil, which is Enlil's wife, but by this time it's Ninurta. The south wind blows and disturbs his fishing, not capsizes his boat and forces him back to land. He gets mad. Adapa does have the ability to speak as a god during this time frame. So he spoke and broke the wings of the south wind. South wind wings are broken. Anu recognizes that the south winds haven't blown for 7 days. Questions why. They say that because the nurtures or the south wind's wings have been broken. So then Anu says, bring that dude Adapa up here for breaking my son's wings, my grandson's wings. So he comes up. But before he goes up there, Ea gives him counsel. Tells him, because Ea thinks the guys are going to kill him, and that's his son, basically. He says, don't eat the food, don't drink the water. Take the clothes, take the oil. When you've come to the door, and it goes through a kind of a Masonic thing, when he comes to the door of Anu, but gave him the secret password, secret codes to get through the door. So Ea gives him this instruction because he thinks that he's going to die. You could say he tricked him. It seems more like he thought he was going to die. So he tells him, don't eat, don't drink, don't give you the food, the bread of death, the water of death. So anyway, Adapa gets up there. I know he do the secret code to get through the door. Then once he get in the door, Anu asks him why he did it. He tells him why he did it. Anu has a change of heart. This guy's not a bad guy. He was, pushed to do it. Issues of the heart. So Anu says, well, you know what? This man is kind of wise. Maybe we should make him a god. So Anu invites him to have some bread of life and some water of life. He denies it. Then he asks him why. He tells him why. And then he just sends man back down with his clothes that he gave him and his anointing oil that he gave him. Gets back down, tells Ea what happened. Ea's like, oh, okay. Basically, this story was being told by the ancient Sumerians of the city of Eridu to describe man's creation and why men die, why men are not immortal, why gods are immortal and sit on a higher throne, and man is mortal and men die. In the same way, the Adam and Eve story is told as an explanation as to why God sits on a throne, God is higher, and the other beings are higher, and that man has mortality. Man gained his mortality because he ate from the tree of knowledge of good and evil. He was denied access to the tree of life. So man doesn't have access to that. So he dies. Ea doesn't allow, tricks or misguides man so that he doesn't gain access to the bread of life, the water of life. But he does come down with some anointing, which does put man on a higher pedestal than everything else on the planet. Kind of like the same way of Adam and Eve having dominion over everything on the planet. So there's a similarity to the story, but it's people like this man who are mixing these stories, and they capture the imagination of people who still want to believe something and want to look back further than the Bible in order for them to have something to believe in, saying that, oh, we are the Anunnaki. We are not the Anunnaki. There's no proof that an Anunnaki actually existed. If there were something that is of an Anunnaki, it would be a pre-last ice age civilization. But even that is highly doubted until we find something that demonstrates it. So all these, let me just throw shit against the wall to see if it sticks. And let me mix up some stuff because I can mix this story with the Gnostic stories of Yaldabaoth and the Plamora and Sophia. And it all sounds like it connects. But sometimes it just don't connect. And this story does not connect. So always remember, you got to free yourself to be yourself, because your greatness is